All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Welcome back to Fascinating Facts. So this is our course on all things Jewish, some of the biggest myths and mysteries and misconceptions about Judaism. We are debunking, exploring, explaining. Tonight's topic is all about the Jewish life cycle. But before we do that, I got to share with you the following. I was having a discussion right before class about my hometown, which, as you know, is Pittsburgh, right? And I remember reading or seeing a Calvin and Hobbes comic strip. Remember Calvin and Hobbes, right? Calvin and Hobbes was like,
you loved it so much. I bought you a book.
My mom, yes, it's my mom. I still have that book. My kids love that book, and they have. Hey, Ramon, good to see you. They have a 3-volume series of that book. Anyway. All right, so here's the deal. So Calvin asked, so just the premise, in case you're not familiar, there's a boy with a very big imagination and his stuffed tiger that comes to life in his imagination, but in the comic strip, it's like it's all alive. So anyway, Calvin asks Hobbes, where do we go when we die? And Hobbes answers, to Pittsburgh. And then Calvin asks, is that if we're good or if we're bad? And that's how it ends. And I always felt like it was a bit of a slight. Like, who's saying that we should go to Pittsburgh if we're bad? Like, what is that? What is that? What do you really mean with that? But anyway, tonight we talk about, hey, good to see you. Hey, Tom. Hey, Mira. So tonight we explore the Jewish life cycle. So just to kind of segue in, last week we spoke about the Torah and how Torah is not a history book. Primarily, it is rather a guide for life. And in that context, we debunked some of the misconceptions of Judaism, including myths about the tree of knowledge. No, it was not an apple tree. Myths about matzah. No, it was not an accident. Myths about the splitting of the sea. No, they didn't cross the sea. Myths about the tablets. No, they weren't curved on top. Myths about the menorah. No, it didn't have rounded branches. Myths about Jews and horns. No, we don't have them. Hey, Dasi. Myths about an eye for an eye. No, it's not to be taken literally. And myths about biblical chapters and verses. No, that is not from a Jewish origin. All of that and more was last week. But this week, we look at life itself. Not the guide for life, which is Torah, but life itself, and exploring the Jewish life cycle. It seems that at every stage, at every age, there's another Jewish milestone, another celebration, and there is. But what do all of these mean? What is the significance of the various markers that we have as we go through life? What is significance to the customs and the culture that we have around these milestones and life cycles? All of these questions and more we will address tonight in Lesson 2 of Fascinating Facts. All right, so before we get into the life cycle events, let's take a look at what Judaism says about life itself. So open up your booklets, please, and open up to page number, well, the page marked as number 38, which is the second page of the booklet. And you see there learning activity number 1. And here we have 5 different metaphors for life. Let's go through them. I'll read them and tell me what you think they mean and if it resonates with you. So number 1, Ronan Keating's song from the year 2000. Life is a roller coaster. Just gotta ride it. What do you think that means? What is life being?
Ups and downs.
Ups and downs. A wild ride. Maybe even you go upside down, right? Sometimes ups and downs. Does it resonate?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. I think we can resonate. I think we can relate to that. Forrest Gump, or as I call him, Reb Forrest Gump. I do not call him that. My mom always said, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. What does that mean? What's life being likened to here in this metaphor? Life is unexpected. Life is sweet. It could be sweet, but it says you never know. You never know what you're going to get. What does that imply? Life is uncertain. Life is surprising. There was a kiddush here in this room actually last Shabbat, celebrating somebody's daughter's first birthday, and the guy imported, or I don't know, he ordered a box of chocolates from Florida. And it was like one of these, like a box but like a big box of chocolates for a bunch of people, not like a small one for one person, like a big one. And he's carrying it around, going from person to person. And he says, here, take one. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, there's like 10 different types. Like, I don't know what this is. Is it almond? Is it like caramel? Is it chocolate and chocolate? Whatever it is. Like, I don't know. So I grabbed one and, I had it and it was fine. But, life is like a box of chocolates. You really don't know. I mean, unless you know what the code is and but sometimes you don't know what it is. Life is surprise. Let's look at the third idea. Life is a great big canvas and you should throw all the paint on it you can. How is life being described here? Live.
Live life to the fullest.
Live life. I like that. Live life to the fullest. In sports lingo, leave it all on the field. Or leave it all on the court, as it were, right? Don't hold anything back. Live life to the fullest. All right, next. Life is like a coin. You can spend it any way you wish, but you only spend it once. What is that? What is that telling us life is? Finite. All right, it's got an expiration date, right? We only have like that soap opera, One Life to Live, right? Remember that soap opera? The Young and the Restless, General Hospital, One Life, huh? You like that one? All right.
Huh? My first child.
I know enough to know the names. So One Life to Live was one of them. You only get to spend the once. Life was like a coin. Fifth analogy or metaphor, life is just a bowl of cherries. Life is just a bowl of cherries. What does that imply? That life is? Good. Life is? Huh?
Something to be enjoyed.
To be enjoyed. What else? Life is? What are cherries, huh?
Didn't modify that and say, life is a bowl of cherries, why am I always in the pits?
Yes. Why am I always in the pits? I sent it in an email. Yeah, that's a great line. Sweet, life is sweet. Assuming you get the right cherries, right? Life is sweet, life is beautiful. Which one resonates with you? Let's just take, anybody want to share which one resonates with them? We have ups and downs. We have unexpected.
I like Chaim 2 team.
Which one is that? Oh, yes. Strawberries?
There's a Chaim 2 team.
Yeah. Take a look at what the Talmud has to say about life. A little bit of a different metaphor. This is on the next page. We're still not in the number text. I'll read this one as well. Page 39. From the Talmud tractate Eruvin. Shmuel said to Rabbi Yehuda, clever one, hurry and eat, hurry and drink, because the world from which we must depart is like a wedding feast. Not a box of chocolates, not a bowl of cherries, not a roller coaster, not a big canvas, not a coin, but life is like a wedding feast. You ever have the experience you go to a wedding, you're on the dance floor, by the time you come back, the food's gone? It happens sometimes, right? Yeah. Not even a buffet. You have it on your table. By the time you come back, they table service. It's gone. And you're like, what?
Oh, yeah.
Celebrating. The next thing I know, there's no food. So comes along Shmuel, says Rabbi Yehuda, life is like a wedding feast. Hurry and eat, hurry and drink. And you know what this sounds like? What's that line? Eat. Yeah, eat, drink, marry, because tomorrow we may be gone. Whatever the line is, right? Tomorrow we may be gone. So chapa rein, as they would say in Yiddish, grab it now. But that's obviously not what the Talmud has to tell us, because the Talmud is certainly not telling us to make sure to finish our steaks in time before we kick the bucket. That's not. You don't need the Talmud to tell you that. The Talmud is rather telling us something very important. It's using metaphoric language, even in the metaphoric language. What does it mean to hurry and eat? What does it mean to hurry and drink? It means to do good things. It's likened to Torah study, it's a metaphor for Torah study, for mitzvah, for doing mitzvahs. And basically the one rabbi, Shmuel, is telling the other rabbi, Rabbi Yehuda, something that we all can relate to, and that is that life is short. And we don't know. We all have a date, an end date. It's all predestined. It's all predestined. It's predetermined when we're born and when we pass away. No one knows that date. It's impossible for someone to know the date. And so Shmuel and the Talmud is reminding us of how important it is to live each day to the fullest. Doesn't mean to go on as many adventures as you can necessarily. What he means is hurry and eat, hurry and drink means to do good things, to leave the world better than we found it, to make sure that each day is maximized and the potential for each opportunity is indeed realized. That is the message.
Would that not be similar though to the canvas from Danny Kaye, basically saying the wedding feast is so plentiful, there's so much you have to partake in. You need to partake in it while you can.
Yeah. You might say it's similar to the Danny Kaye one. Life is a great big canvas. You should do all the paint on it that you can. If mitzvahs are likened to paint, do as much as you can. And as we know, we don't know everyone. We're all here for a reason, and none of us are extra. Meaning, if you're here and if I'm here, it means that both of us are necessary. Right? Birth is God saying that you matter. Mark Twain wrote, "Be yourself. Everyone else is taken." Right? So you individually are needed. You are the only you that has ever existed. And so it's kind of like, if we're here, we have a purpose. As long as we're here, we have a purpose. We have meaning. Throw all the paint on it that you can. Every mitzvah, we don't know which mitzvah is our purpose. The Baal Shem Tov said that a person might live 70 years, 80 years, whatever, however long a person lives, and their soul might have come down to this earth just to do an act of kindness to one person at one time in one interaction. Can you imagine if that happens, if that scenario unfolds? And we're like, yeah, I don't have the time. Can you imagine that? The soul came down only for that, possibly. I mean, who knows? But it might have come down to this earth only for that purpose. So the message is that we should grab the opportunities, seize the day, and indeed make a difference. Now, why is it called a wedding feast? Why didn't the rabbi say, eat and drink and hurry up, get things done and be active? Because the world from which we must depart is like a bar mitzvah feast or a bat mitzvah celebration or a brit milah spread, right? Or another shmork. Why does it use the analogy of the wedding feast specifically? So I want to share with you an insight that explores a little bit more about the significance of a wedding feast. What happens at a wedding? What happens at a wedding is two people come together. Two individuals, and sometimes two opposite individuals, right? They say opposites attract. There's truth to that. Two different people come together as one. And in a similar way, the purpose of life is to bring together two opposites into one place, to bring spirituality into a physical world. Every mitzvah is about introducing something of spirit, something spiritual into a physical item, to a physical object, right? We take leather straps, we wound them on our arm, tefillin. We take, leather again, parchment. We make it into a Torah scroll or a mezuzah scroll. Or we take, candle wax and we turn them into Shabbat candles or Hanukkah candles, whatever it is. Taking something of the physical world and utilizing for a mitzvah is bringing together two opposites, right? Like men and women is bringing together two opposites, the physical matter and spiritual energy, bring them together. That is why life is like a wedding feast. Let's read text number 1. Toba, please get us started on page number 40 with text number 1. This is a mystical insight.
Man and woman are compared to a soul and body. This world is like a wedding feast because the fusion of the spiritual soul and physical body of this world is similar to the union of bride and groom, a wedding feast.
Yeah, so here we go, right? The fusion of spirituality and physicality is like a wedding. And so the goal of life is, like a wedding, to bring together two opposites. The way we do that is by bringing together the microcosm, in other words, our own body and our own soul to be on the same page. How is it that we affect in the world at large a fusion of spirit and matter? It's by first bringing together our own spirit and matter in a unified space or for a unified mission. All of us, every human being has both a body and a soul. And the better we work together with our two components, right, bring them together in harmony, the more effective we can be in the larger goal of bringing together the larger soul with the larger, the cosmic soul with a larger, earthly body to bring heaven down to earth. Does that make sense? If we're harmonized inside, we can bring harmony to the outside. That is the way it works. An analogy, a story for this. So there was once, they tell a story. This didn't necessarily happen, but it's an example. Story of a kid who's trying to get his father's attention, but the father's on a business call. So to keep the kid busy, he finds a magazine, whatever, and rips out one of the pages and rips up and it's a picture of like the globe, the earth, whatever, rips up the image, rips out kind of like, a very makeshift puzzle, gives the kid the piece, says, here's some tape, put it together. Figures it'll take, 20 minutes or longer. By that time, he'll be off the phone call. The kid comes back 5 minutes later and it's done. He says, how did you don't even know these countries. How did you do this? I guess he gets off the phone call at some point. And the kid flips over the page. And on the other side, there's the picture of a person. A person you can put together. But if you can put together the person, bring them together, you can put together the whole world. Right? Gam et ha'olam natam b'libo shel adam. God placed the world into our heart. I know the song goes, you got the whole world in your hand, right? But in scripture it says, God placed the world in our hearts. And the more unified we are, the more we can unify the world at large. And that's really the purpose of life. And that's why it's like a wedding feast. That's what we're here to do. We're here to fuse things together, to heal, tikkun olam, to heal the world, bring spirit back down to the earth. Okay. So the way we do that is by connecting by unifying and harmonizing our own body and soul. And that happens throughout the stages of life. And that's how we get back into the life cycles. At every stage of life, it's a successive it's a successively, next stage of bringing our own body and soul together in greater harmony. So what we're going to do is we're going to trace the life cycle from even before birth to birth, and then throughout the stages of life. So let's start with, it's marked here birth on page 41, but this is really pre-birth. So let's see how the Talmud describes the state and the status of the fetus pre-birth. Text 2a. Eve, please take it away.
The fetus is taught the entire Torah. As it enters this world, an angel approaches and slaps it on its mouth and causes it to completely forget the entire Torah.
Thank you. Now that line, slaps it on its mouth, sounds a little rough. I always heard that it like taps it on its mouth. Slap, I feel, is a little bit of an aggressive translation.
That's what the filter is.
All right, whatever. I don't think the mouth's like, hey, come here, look up at that light. Ow, now you forgot Torah. I don't believe that that's exactly the way it's done, but nonetheless, that was our translation. But anyway, that's what the Talmud says. The Talmud actually goes into more detail, says, the fetus, is folded up, and it eats what its mother eats, and it drinks what its mother drinks, and it doesn't have, whatever. It describes the kind of the fetal state. But one of the things it says is that the fetus is taught the entire Torah, but then at birth, it's caused to forget. So what's the obvious question? Huh? Say it again?
That's usually.
Well, that's one question. What's the other question?
Why?
What was the point? You're spending all this time and resources, again, I don't know, whatever it is, right? You're spending all this time teaching the fetus Torah only for it to forget it? That seems like a colossal waste of time. So Rav Soloveitchik, the Rav, as he's known, gives a fantastic answer, which I love. Text 2b. Eve, please do text 2b as well, bottom 41.
Every Jew comes into the world with a natural responsiveness to Torah reading. Every Jew begins with a share in Torah that was vested in him before his birth, and though he is made to forget it, it is preserved in the deep recesses of his soul, waiting to be awakened by study and a favorable environment.
What does that mean? Nu, what do you guys think? What does that mean in your own words? What does the Rav say?
You'll relearn it. It's a deeper part of you that it's
like
not something outside of you, it's deeper.
Good. What else? What else?
the education system.
taught, give them pre-teach. And like, we actually, I got a school that we did that. For like the speech, if you pre-teach, and they go into the regular classroom, it comes, so it's there, even though it's gone, it's there.
I love this. This is all excellent. I'll give maybe some different language, but the same concept. What's the purpose? Let me reset the question and then present what I believe the rabbi is answering. Well, what's the purpose of teaching the unborn child the entire Torah only for them to forget it? What's the point? Because when they learn it later, it's going to sound familiar. You ever have that experience where you're studying Torah and you're like, it makes a lot of sense. It resonates. What do you mean it resonates? Resonates means there's something inside that it's connecting with. Why is it connecting? Because you already learned it. It's already inside of you. It's not something that you're gaining from scratch. It's something that you have already studied, have already learned, and therefore it resonates. And that's the purpose of learning the entire Torah. So this implies, by the way, that, to the question, one of the questions we're addressing tonight is, the big question is, when does life begin? According to Judaism, when does life begin? Or when does the soul enter the body? So does life begin before birth, in the fetal state? If it's studying Torah, then it would seem like maybe the answer is yes. Well, yes, maybe, but there's a bit of a nuanced understanding here. And that is that there's a body, there's a physical component to the fetus. There's also a soul. What was cut out of the Talmud, one of the pieces that it says that the fetus is there folded up, and there's a light that shines above its head, which is a euphemism, basically a way of saying that there is a soul there. The soul is not yet integrated or connected with the body. There is a body, there's a physical form, and there's a soul, and they've been kind of earmarked together, and they're kind of in proximity, but they're not yet connected. Therefore, it doesn't really have that full sense of life until birth. But there is still a soul that's around, and it's the soul that studies the Torah, and then the fetus is caused to forget it, and then when we learn it, it resonates once again. Now, another element to the pre-birth status. Take a look at text 3a. Oh, yeah.
Does this concept of having learned Torah apply to non-Jews as well? Because we all have that little notch below our nose above our lip.
I would assume,
non-Jew alike.
I would assume, without necessarily direct evidence, like Talmudic evidence, but I would assume that everybody is given, everyone is taught whatever they need to fulfill their mission. That's what I believe. That everyone is, so for someone who is, born into the Jewish mission, so that would be the Torah with the 613 mitzvot and all those details. For someone that's born in a different environment, it would be whatever they would need to be empowered to fulfill their mission. But the Talmud speaks specifically to a Jewish audience and shares this. So there might be other teachings in other spaces that more directly address the question, but that's what would make sense.
What does the Talmud say about converts? That they actually had a Jewish soul before they converted?
Yeah, it's interesting. Someone who converts to Judaism is understood to have had a Jewish soul spark all along that then kind of flourishes and fully assumes that status upon the conversion. Yeah, it's a very interesting topic. Text 3a. David, if you don't mind, please read text 3a. This is from Pirkei Avot.
Fortunate is the woman who gave birth to Rabbi Yehoshua ben Hananiah.
And the truth is, instead of fortunate, I think a better translation is praiseworthy. Praiseworthy is the woman who gave birth. Why so? What was so what's so special about her? Text 3b. One more, please. Here's the commentary.
Fortunate is she who gave birth to Rabbi Yehoshua, because from the time when she conceived, she did not budge from the study hall, so that he would constantly hear words of Torah. This
is the Vilna Gaon who says this. He says something amazing. Rabbi Yehoshua ben Hananiah's mom, from when she got pregnant, she would hang out where? In the study hall, in the Beis Medrash, where people were studying Torah. She would sit in on the Torah classes. She would make sure that even while pregnant, before the baby's born, that he would be because would be in an environment of Torah study. It's an amazing thing. What's also kind of cool is that this past Shabbat for Davening 101, I do a class every Saturday morning from 10:15 to 11:15. Might as well do a commercial plug. Join us, it's great. All right, so I spoke about Rabbi Shimon Hanania and the great debate that he had, as the Talmud records, between him and the 60 great philosophers of Athens, Greek philosophers. Anyway, it's an incredible story. There's a lot of drama. But who was this great Rabbi Yeshua, and what made him or helped make him who he was? Says the Mishnah, and the Vilna Gaon explains, because his mother made sure that he was posted up in a space of Torah learning. Now, medical science has caught up to this. Like, now we know that the influences that are around the unborn child can influence, those pre-birth influences can influence. Who knew that? We knew that 1,800 years ago? I don't think so. Well, sorry. Did medicine know that 1,800 years ago? I don't think so. Did Judaism know that 1,800 years ago? The answer is yes. His mother said, he's not born yet, but these influences or this environment is going to have an influence. Now we have, make sure if you're pregnant, go play Mozart. It's going to be amazing for your unborn child, right? All these things. But Judaism would still say, Torah. A little Mozart, sure, but make sure to also expose even the unborn child to positive Jewish influences. Okay, now practically speaking, here are some customs associated with pregnancy. So, as we said, the mother should consciously spend time in positive and holy environments, synagogue, classes, etc. The home should be a calm, loving, and spiritually attuned place. Give extra charity before candlelighting every Friday evening, and check the mezuzot scrolls at home to make sure that everything is on the up and up and kosher. These are all good, good practices to ensure healthy pregnancy and healthy delivery and healthy baby, physically and spiritually. Okay, that's stage number one. So there is a soul, there is a body, they're not yet joined together, but that happens at birth. So let's talk about birth. So when a baby is born, it's certainly a wonderful occasion. It's a simcha. It's a tremendous joy. Just move my computer so I can make sure that everyone is kosher over there. All right, so it's a great celebration, and on a very real level, it marks independence, and independence from the mother. As I said before, quoting the Talmud, when a child is yet unborn, it doesn't eat on its own, it doesn't drink on its own, right? It's plugged into the mom. What happens at birth? You cut the cord, both literally and figuratively. Now there is an independence. Take a look at the little box. This is wonderful. Take a look at the box on bottom of page 42. Something interesting about nursing. In the ethical will of Rabbi Yehuda the Pious, he advises that a mother nursing her newborn child for the very first time should begin with the left breast so that the baby's first meal comes from a place that is closest to the heart. It's a beautiful thing, right? That it should be heartfelt, that should be close to the heart. I'm expressing the love. So that's on a physical level, there's an independence. On a spiritual level, there's also something that happens brand new, because as I said before, there is a soul before, but the soul is not yet joining the body. At birth, the soul now joins the body, and the mission of fusion of body and soul, both personal and spiritual, has begun. Our sages tell us, and it's throughout Jewish literature, that the soul is fearful of its journey into the body. The soul, on many levels, would rather stay in heaven. It's easier in heaven, right? In fact, the Talmud discusses, is it better to have been born or to never have been born? And the conclusion is probably to never have been born. But we're here, so we're not going anywhere. But it's everything's good, everything's peachy in heaven. The soul is in a beautiful state. And yet, God says, I need you there, on earth, in a body. Can you imagine a spiritual soul being thrown into a body? Talk about the odd couple, right? I need to schlep this body around all day now. But here it is. That's life. That is the little definition of life. And birth is the anniversary of God telling each and every one of us, our birth is God saying, you matter, As I said before, you matter, you're important, but also it's now time for your soul and your body to start working together. So let's take a look for a quick moment at the page 43. It's not marked, but it's the page opposite of 42. And here we have some Jewish birthday customs, because birthdays, it's not just a day to have a party or a day to, say l'chaim and drink or whatever, but a birthday is a day to really reflect on our mission in life and why we are here, and what we're here to do. So,
I mean Jewish birthday.
Jewish birthday custom. Yeah. Oh, excellent question. Which birthday are we referring to? And if you're wondering, how could you have two birthdays? Well, English birthday or Hebrew birthday. The other option is celebrate both. But yeah, the Jewish customs would be for the Hebrew birthday, which I'll talk about how to figure that out, how to figure out your Hebrew birthday in a second. But let's look at the customs, and then we'll get into the calendar stuff. So some Jewish birthday customs. The first one here is during the course of the day, make some alone time and think about the past year, what went right, what went not so right, and what can be fixed. What does that sound like? When else do we do that? When else?
New Year's.
New Year's, Rosh Hashanah. It's a little bit of a personal Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is the first day of the year. Well, this is the first day of our new year, of our personal new year. All right, next one is take your life to a new level with a new mitzvah, like a commitment. And I'm going to start doing X, Y, or Z, possibly. The next one is give some extra charity on that day. The next one is spend more time in prayer on that day. Take some extra time for Torah study. Share what you learn with friends. I love this next one, and I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. And I said highly 4 times. Every year of your life has a corresponding chapter in the book of Psalms. Your age plus 1. So if you're turning 32, your Psalm is chapter 33. Recite your Psalm today and continue to recite it each day for the coming year. So basically, there are 150 chapters or Psalms in the book of Psalms. David penned and collected 150 chapters. And so there's a custom that many have to recite their personal Psalm each day. So, and what is your personal Psalm? Your age plus 1. So if you're 40, 41, if you're 50, 51, etc., that's how it goes. I have recommended this to people, and many have done it based on my recommendation. And I've heard such tremendous feedback from people that started doing it and didn't really connect with it and reading words. But by the end of their year, like the end, when they were about to have their birthday, they're like, I connect so much with this Psalm. I don't even want to switch to the next one. But there's incredible power, both practical and spiritual, with the book of Psalms. I highly recommend that as a resolution. You don't have to wait till your birthday to do. You can do it today or tonight. Say the chapter each day, the chapter associated with it. It's a great school. It's a great merit for blessings in your life. The next one is gather with friends in public and thank God for the gift of life. This is an opportune time to encourage each other to strive for spiritual growth. Next one. I love this one also. Eat a new seasonal fruit on your birthday so that you can say the special Shechianu blessing, thanking God for granting you life. Basically, when do we say Shechianu? Typically. Right, on holidays. Right, holiday comes around, Shechianu, and the Kiddush, Shechianu, for a new opportunity. So it would be good to say Shechianu on your birthday, but you got to tie it to some physical act. And so you can buy a new fruit, a fruit that you haven't had, that season. And as you eat the fruit, you say Shechianu. And when you say Shechianu, have in mind that it's also for your birthday. And I don't know, it's a bracha hack. There you go. All right. Last one is arrange to receive an aliyah on the Shabbat before your birthday. If the Torah is on your birthday, arrange to receive an aliyah on that day too. Okay. So here's a bunch of birthday customs. You can apply them as you wish. But as Scott asked before, is this English birthday or Hebrew birthday? Because not always, in fact, most years, they are not aligned. Every 19 years, they realign, but they might be a day off. But typically every 19 years, the Hebrew and English dates realign.
They almost did for you this year.
Right, because I just turned 19. So I'm kidding. Yeah, they got close. They got close this year. Yeah. I'm not a multiple of 19 currently,
right,
but it does, ebb and flow. It does move around a little bit. But I wanted to say that I feel 19. So, but how do you find your Hebrew birthday? Very simple. You Google Hebrew date converter and you find a website that does it, HeebCal or Chabad or whatever. You type in your English birthday, which you should know at this point, right? And then it'll tell you the corresponding Hebrew day. You have to put in the month and date and year of your English, your English date of your birthday, and then it will tell you what that day was, what the Hebrew date was when you were born. Now, there's one caveat. If you were born after sunset, then it's the next Hebrew day because the Jewish day starts at night. So if you were born January 15th, right, whatever it is, after, let's say 8 p.m., so you're going to have to go to the next, whatever date it says for the Hebrew date, just add 1 to it because it's already the next Hebrew date. Say it again? Depends what time of year. Oof. Oh, wow. Okay, so this is great. Now you get to Google more things. Depends where. So what you're going to want to do is, you don't even need it. This is not even a Jewish thing. This is just a general thing. So what you're going to want to do is Google sunset in whatever city on whatever date. And that's how you find that out.
Can I say, it's usually far more technologically advanced than that. ChatGPT.
Oh, really?
I'm just doing it.
Really?
Like, I'm just
It's
Googling
not
the
surprising.
sunset in Manchester.
Oh, there you go. ChatGPT.
Yeah, and the same with your birth chart. And then it offers you your Kabbalistic birth chart if you want it.
Done.
So ChatGPT
Look at that.
usually so much more advanced than Google is.
Will it also recite your psalm every day for you? I'm kidding. I'm just joking. No. That's a VA. That's a virtual assistant. That's not the ChatGPT. You hire a VA to take care of all the mitzvahs for you. I'm kidding. That's all a joke. But yeah, ChatGPT sounds like it would be great for this job. You can tell it. You can probably put in, I was born in Pitt, what city, date, time, what's my Hebrew birthday, and it'll probably figure out all the factors.
Like it'll ask, like I put my time in, it's like, well, were you born 25, 22, it's 48.
That's a new feature. That's a new feature. On Chabad calendar does that? Okay, so that's a new feature. It's going to ask you, were you born between these hours? You set the hours you were born. Usually it used to have an asterisk saying it might be off by a day. But that's cool that they added that feature. Makes sense.
Progress. If you're not using ChatGPT, I just started using it. It is unbelievable. Just download the app. Why it matters.
We have to ask Sam Altman to sponsor this class now. Maybe he can like help give a little.
There's no more clicking links. It just says, so it says the Hebrew calendar consists of days that don't begin at midnight, they begin at sunset. Since 9th Shabbat, anyway, begins January 31st, you were born before 49 p.m. in Manchester, England. That's your Hebrew birthday.
There you go.
You were born after 4:49 into the 10th of Shabbat.
Breaks it down. That's good. So feel free to use any of these tools, but it's cool to know your Hebrew birthday. Now, as to which one should you celebrate? Again, I said I wasn't joking before. Celebrate both, but the Jewish stuff would be for the Hebrew birthday, and then you could have, I don't know, 2 cakes, 2 parties, 2 sets of friends, right? I'm not gonna say 2 families. That would be a little weird, but some people do that. No, I'm kidding. But like, you can totally pull that off. Pull it off. 2 parties, 2 birthdays, but the Jewish stuff, the spiritual stuff, should be for the Hebrew birthday. All right. Yeah, I do that. All right. Now, good. I like a whole month of birthday. I'll be honest. That's what I like. Now let's talk about. Oh, okay. I'm not going to read it. You can read it there. Birthday, holidays, that box. Fine. Next, we're going to skip text 4 and the box. It's interesting. You can read it. Now, the next stage we're going to look at in life cycles is the circumcision, the Brit Milah. Now, okay, what is the next step? What is the next step? So we talked about pre-birth. There's a soul and a body, and they're kind of like, I don't know, floating around each other. Birth is when they come together. But the next stage of integration is by the Brit Milah, by the circumcision. What is a circumcision on a physical level? Right? There's a removal of the foreskin. On a spiritual level, what it means is that you're removing almost an impediment that blocks, again, this is the spiritual meaning of it, that might desensitize the body from the sensitivity of the soul. It's about opening up to the sensitivity of the soul, the body opening up. And that is the spiritual import and impact of a Brit Milah, of the circumcision, which is to further fuse and integrate the soul with the body through that mitzvah. Now, the big question is obviously, well, what about women who don't have a Brit Milah? So what happens? Are their souls not are their souls not fused with their bodies? Is there a lack of spiritual sensitivity? So Judaism tells us, on the contrary, women don't need an additional step. In fact, text 5, Phil, please take it away. Text 5.
A woman is considered circumcised.
There you go. A woman has the status of already being already being circumcised. That is the status of a woman, which means that by men or by boys, you would need an additional step to kind of create a channel for that, the fusion and the integration of soul and soul with body on a deeper level with its sensitivity. For a woman, for a girl, you don't need an extra step. It doesn't happen. It doesn't take 8 days to happen. It happens immediately. By the way, if you want to know what that means, a woman is considered circumcised, like other than the spiritual meaning of it, is there a practical meaning for that, a practical ramification? The answer is yes. I'll give you an example, a legal example. Imagine, in Judaism, if you take a vow, so then you're on the hook to fulfill it. There's different types of, I'm going to give you an example of somebody who makes a vow, which is weird. I'm not gonna give a reason as to why someone would do this, but let's say someone did this. Let's say somebody said, I take a vow that I'm not going to have any benefit. I'm not going to receive any benefit from anyone who is circumcised. Meaning, if they hand me a plate of cookies, I can't take it. I'm going to have no benefit from anyone who has a circumcision. So anyone who has any male who has a circumcision, they're legally prohibited, because based on their own oath, they cannot benefit from, nor can they benefit from any woman, because women are considered to have that legal status of circumcised. That is a legal, again, there's a way you can annul a vow, such a vow. There's ways to get out of it, formally and legally. There's a process of hatarat and darim, which is annulment of vows. But that's a more halachic or a legal scenario where that would be an interesting application of this. But a woman is considered circumcised. Girls do not need that process. 8 days later, it is something that happens at birth. Let's take make sense? All right. No? If the Brit Milah, right, the circumcision, represents, right, there's the physical act, but there's the meaning of it. The meaning of it is, right, God tells Abraham at 99, ouch, is the only thing I'd say. He says, have a circumcision, and then you will be complete. And that makes no sense, because here he's being told to take something away to achieve completion. Usually completion means you're missing something and you add something. You with me on this? Typically, the way the mind works, we think that to be complete, you need to add something. And here God is saying, take something away to be complete, which means that sometimes you can have something that's an actual impediment. What's the impediment? What is the meaning of the impediment? It represents an impediment to the spiritual sensitivity. And so boys need an act of circumcision to generate that sensitivity.
Get anything from someone who's
No. That's not. I'm not saying I'm not saying one can't. I'm saying if one were to make an oath and say that, if they were meshuga enough to say, if they were crazy enough to say, I am not going to get anything from anyone who has a circumcision, well, then they can't have anything from any woman either, not only men, but also women, because women have the status of circumcised. That's just a halachic application. No one should make that oath, and no one's going to have that issue. That's why I'm saying it's a hypothetical scenario.
Did you have any idea why in Islam, in some sects of Islam, they circumcise girls?
Yeah.
That I don't know. In Judaism, it's not. First of all, my understanding is that's horrific. Second of all, there's no woman has a status of circumcised. You don't need to do another action. It's precluded from the beginning. Say boys need something, girls don't. So like, it's not even a thing. This is not female circumcision. This is having the status of, but no need to do anything. All right. One thing about the box, actually, this is an important thing to mention on page 45. Okay, it's like all chatty over here. Have you ever gone to a party uninvited? If you have attended a traditional Brit, chances are the answer is yes. But don't worry, this is not a breach of etiquette. Traditionally, we do not invite friends to attend a Brit, but simply notify them of the proper time and place. This is because, given the holiness of the occasion, it would be considered a sign of spiritual insensitivity to turn down such an invitation. So many people will not say, oh, you are invited to the Brit Milah ceremony, but rather say the Brit Milah ceremony will take place, meaning letting you know, because if you invite someone and they can't make it, then they're turning down the opportunity to go to such a spiritual mitzvah. It's not so nice to turn that down. So therefore, you don't want to put anybody in that situation. You don't put a stumbling block in front of somebody. So you say, I'm not inviting you, just letting you know. Do whatever you want. I didn't tell you to come. Anyway, all right, that's that. Now, let's take a look at the next stage. The next step is the naming of a child. Now, this is very important. And it's not just because, the child to be called, hey, you, would be awkward after a while. But naming is important because, as we see spiritually, it actually helps channel the soul, the spiritual energy into the body, as it were, of the child. Liam, please read this one. Text number 6, page 46.
Before a soul enters the body, it has no name. The soul itself has no need for a name, nor does a lifeless body have any use for a name. Rather, the function of the name is to join the soul with the body. The vitalizing energy that emanates from the soul to give life to the body is rooted in the name.
Thank you. Let's break this down. I could have asked this as a general question. What do you think? Do souls in heaven have names? What's the answer based on this text? No, it doesn't have a name. Again, in heaven, it's kind of like, hey, you. That's kind of what it is. Souls in heaven do not have a name. Now, do bodies without souls need a name? Also, no, they don't need a name. A body without a soul doesn't need a name. The name is specifically for the purpose of binding soul with body. It's about binding the energy of the soul with the container, as it were, of the body. That energy is channeled through the name. Now, that means something. Kabbalistically, it means that the name is highly important because every Hebrew letter, like I said, the Hebrew name, every letter is a certain manifestation of energy. And so the name that a person has to be designed perfectly for the soul. The question then is, it's a lot of pressure. How do you even know how to name someone? You have to find the name that's attuned to the soul and the body and the right connection. That's a lot of pressure. Don't worry. Our sages tell us, and this is from the works of Kabbalah, of Jewish mysticism, that parents are guided by divine, almost prophecy, quasi-prophecy, to give the appropriate name to the child. Even if the parents think that they have a good reason to give that name, they're being guided to the appropriate name for that child. All right, Liz, are you up to reading text number 7?
When a father and mother choose a name for their newborn child, the name is not random or arbitrary. Rather, God places in their mouths the name that is needed for its soul.
Thank you. And I would say not only in the mouth, right? God placed it in the minds and the hearts. Like, oh, we should name this child after Bubby or after Zadie or after whoever. And indeed, it's the right name for the right child. It's the right name for the right soul. And that is how it works. So that's typically there's no prophecy nowadays. There used to be prophecy back in the day. You had Moses was a prophet, Samuel was a prophet, Ezekiel, Isaiah, Jeremiah. These were great prophets. Typically, prophecy is after the first temple's destruction. It says that God removed prophecy from the world. But there is like low-level prophecy. It's not. What do they call it when you do wiring in a house? There's the high voltage and low voltage wiring. This is like low voltage prophecy, coining new expressions right here tonight. Low voltage prophecy would be naming a child guided by God saying, yeah.
Isn't there, I believe there's a custom though, that you shouldn't name a child after somebody who had died at a young age.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a second. So there are many customs and traditions associated with naming a child. And depending on your community, your background, Ashkenazi or Sephardi, there might be other layers to this as well, which there's actually a box right here that talks about that. So let's actually start with the box, and then I want to get into what you're saying. So I'll read the box on page 47 above text 7. There's a long-standing Jewish tradition to name children after their forebears. Jews of Ashkenazic descent name only after people who are already deceased, while Sephardic Jews consider it a great honor to give a child the name of a living relative, such as a grandparent. So Ashkenazi Jews typically will only name children after relatives that are deceased. Sephardim will name children after relatives that are living.
That if Torah is the same, we study Torah no matter what, Ashkenaz or Sephardi. Why is that discrepancy?
Good question. Anything that was disputed through the era of the Talmud, which closed at about the year 500, there are no disputes. I mean, in the Talmud you have disputes, but it was all decided by that time. But anything that wasn't clarified, anything that's like, well, a new question came up, or sometimes, let's say on Passover, rice, right? The ancient world they didn't have. Where did rice come from? India. So in Israel, right, back in the day, they didn't have necessarily rice. So is rice on Passover, is that okay? Not okay? So then you had different rabbis in different areas and communities and groups of rabbis that were addressing the same questions, came to different conclusions. And now there is a little bit of that fragmentation. There wasn't, since the time of the Talmud, a collective gathering of Jews. I don't know, maybe no one wanted to pay for the hotel. I'm kidding. But there was never this ability to bring everyone together and make these types of final decisions to unify everybody. But the good news is that actually, I think it's a good thing, because it allows for there to be a little bit more of individual expression, a little bit more of a mosaic of Judaism. I mean, even back in the day, so it says that when the sea split, we talked about sea splitting last week, right? And they made a horseshoe. They didn't cross the sea. They just went in and out on the same side. But there is also tradition that says that there wasn't just one path in the sea. There were 12 paths for each of the 12 tribes. Each one had their own little mini tunnel, as it were, in the sea. It's kind of like the Holland Tunnel. Kidding, not at all. But it's like, right? It goes under the river, I guess.
And it's curved. And it's curved.
And it is curved, correct. I was driving through a tunnel. This is off topic right now. We went from seas to then Holland Tunnel, now another tunnel here, Orlando. There was a tunnel here recently that I went in. The lights were so bright at night. It seems like somebody put in. You notice that? That was the 400 South. I'm driving there and I'm like, someone went crazy on LED bulbs. Someone's like, oh, let's put in these LED bulbs, and they just got the wrong water. It was way too bright. I'm like, this is actually dangerous, but I digress. The sea wasn't dangerous. Perfect lighting designed by God himself. But there were 12 different paths. And I think there's something beautiful about the mosaic of law. I also think that sometimes, this is my I could be totally wrong on this. So don't look. I try to present Torah. Right now, this is my own musings. So take it for what it's worth, which is whatever, not that much. But studying halacha, it sometimes seems like Sephardim are a little bit more confident, and Ashkenazim are a little bit more like worried and anxious about things. And I know Sephardim also had a lot of upheaval in their lives, but it seems like Ashkenazim are a little like, don't get too close to the railing, right? Sephardim like, how's it going? And Ashkenazim like, a little bit more like Sephardim like, great, there's rice. Ashkenazim like, oh, but maybe it might be, who knows? Like, maybe be careful about that, right? Sephardim like, let's name it after Bubby. Or I wouldn't say Bubby. They would say named after Saba, Savta, whatever. And the Ashkenazim like, oh no, it might be an Ayin Hara, might be it might just, there's a little bit more of that. I think there's a little bit more of that apprehension, as if you call it apprehension. Yeah.
There was actually, my parents, my mother told me this. there was a big dispute when I was the first child.
Yeah.
And it was the first child of my grandparents. My mother was the oldest. I was born in 1946.
Okay.
My mother's brother, Philip, was killed in the Battle of the Bulges, the U.S. Army. He died in January 1945. She insisted on naming me after him. And there was a huge dispute. My father's family said, you can't name it after him. Somebody who was 20 years old when they died. But she did it anyway.
Right. So yeah, I know you asked that. So let me weigh in on that right now. So in addition to all that we've talked about up until now, there's also another element to this as well. And that is that some people will also shy away from naming a child after someone who experienced tragedy in their life, like dying. But that's not it's not a rule. It's not halacha. It's not law. It's a custom that either you're concerned about that or you're not concerned about that, right? It's more of a it's a custom. So now on a practical level, here's what. One second. So now we have another element to this. When do we name the child? When do we name the child? So for a boy, at the bris, right? At the brit milah, at the bris, you name the child. So it takes 8 days. And the naming, again, is also about kind of the fusion of soul and body. It carries, it's like the connection of the soul's energy to the body. The name carries the connection. So until 8 days, it's kind of like, at birth, they come together, but it's still a little tenuous until the name, and then it really kind of fuses together. Wonderful. For a girl, when does it happen? You don't need a bris. She's already circumcised, as it were, so you're good to go. So you do it at the earliest opportunity. You name a girl at the earliest opportunity. We try to tie it into a mitzvah and a public mitzvah. So we do it typically, many have the custom to name a girl at the first possible communal Torah reading in the synagogue. So you read the Torah throughout the week, Monday morning, Thursday morning, Saturday morning, and Saturday afternoon, four times. So you don't have too long to wait before an opportunity. I mean, the most you would wait is if the baby was born Sunday a day. I mean, Monday afternoon, you would have to wait like a few days till Thursday morning. Okay, whatever. Fine. So it's a few days, but it's pretty much right away. But with boys, because again, it's ready to go, the fusion is ready to go. For boys, you got to wait for the 8 days for the bris to kind of fuse them together with the name. So just anecdotally, we have, my wife and I have 5 boys and a girl. And it was 5 boys in a row. And then the youngest was a girl. And our first one was born in New York, in Brooklyn Methodist, a nice Jewish hospital. Kidding. And then the other ones were born right here in Northside. And, before you leave the hospital, you have to fill out the paperwork. And they ask you for the name of the baby because they have to file it with whatever, Social Security, right? And so we don't have a name because, again, different customs. Some people are like, I'm not saying the name because ayin hara, right? Evil eye. We'll talk about evil eyes, by the way, in this course. We're going to get to evil eyes, not tonight. But we're talking about evil eyes, but not like defining. So I'm not. So we. Every time they wrote on the birth document, not certificate, birth document, baby boy Sollish. And then I had to come back to the hospital after the Brit because they didn't file it. They file it like 10 days later. So you go back to I went back to the hospital and I had them amend it from baby boy, which sounds great, to the actual name of the child. And they were happy to do that. But I mean, when I say happy, they looked kind of annoyed, but whatever. To me, I was happy. So that's fine for me. Good. Yes? Makes sense? All right. Pidyon haben. Pidyon haben. This is one of the most infrequently, and I would say that one of the most obscure, maybe the most obscure life cycle event in all of Judaism, because it happens so rarely. Okay, what is Pidyon haben? Pidyon haben is literally the redemption of the firstborn, but it only applies under the following conditions. I feel like a radio commercial. I should speak really fast. I'm kidding. It happens under the following conditions. Number 1, it has to be, the firstborn child has to be a male. Number 2, it has to be the firstborn to the mother. No prior miscarriages, no C-section, it has to be a natural birth. And the child cannot be the child of a Kohen or a Levi on both sides. All right. So because of these specifications, it's very rare. A lot of people have a girl first. No opinion, I bet. Many cases, a boy is firstborn, but he is a Kohen, or she is a Kohen, or he's a Levi, or she's a Levi. In many cases, there's a boy, and they're both Israelites, as it were. But maybe she had a miscarriage before. Maybe it's a C-section or whatever it is. So very rare occasions is there a pidyon haben, but it does happen. Now, what is the pidyon haben? So essentially, and we'll explore the text in a second, but essentially there is a mitzvah, and this is not a custom. I mean, we do it, but it's more than a custom. Custom means it's not biblical. This is biblical. The Torah says that under the circumstances that I described a moment ago, when a firstborn male, etc., is born, then at 30 days, you need to do what's called the pidyon haben, which is a redemption of the firstborn. You go take that, you bring the child, or you bring a Kohen in, and you say to the Kohen, and you say to the Kohen, here's my firstborn son, and the Kohen says, all right, which would you rather have, your child or the 5 coins that you need to pony over, right? Pony up, whatever, hand over, fork over for the redemption of said child. And hopefully the dad says, I'd like to keep my child. Hopefully. If not, the mom would be like, okay, this guy, all right, what a joker. Anyway, so the father says, I'll keep the kid. I'll give you the coins, and you give the Kohen 5 silver coins. That's a custom. My son, we checked all the boxes. My firstborn son, Nassim, who's now 21, which is weird because I just turned 19, but whatever. I know it's weird. I know, but here we are. So Nassim, at 30 days old, had a pidyon haben. And people do and there's interesting customs later on to this mitzvah. So like many people have the custom of, the mitzvah is that you do the thing with the coins, but many have the custom that you bring the child out to this occasion on a silver platter, adorned with jewelry and with bags of garlic. I don't know. And sugar cubes, or maybe sugar cubes, right? Is it sugar cubes? Is it like
Not
sugar?
bags of garlic.
Not bags of garlic. Am I mixing something? Oh, that was for the vampire convention. I'm so sorry. I'm so
Stop.
No, you do put something in the mesh bags. I even have pictures of my kid. All right, after the class, whoever cares enough. I'm sorry, that sounded very. No, if you want, I can show you pictures of my kids' pidyon haben. Mom, I actually showed it to our earlier class, and there's a picture of you at the pidyon haben. I was like, hey, that's my mom.
I was so excited.
I would imagine. Yeah, I mean, I would hope so.
And tell the story that who was the Kohen?
How about you tell this? I don't remember.
The Kohen was Zaidi. Was your grand?
What? Yeah, I think so. Okay. I totally remember that. Now, here's the thing. I want to read, huh?
Garlic and sugar.
I was right, garlic and sugar.
According to ChatGPT.
ChatGPT and me. I get all my Jewish custom information.
I'm glad I didn't know about the garlic.
Wording off the evil eye.
Sugar or candy for sweetness and a sweet life.
Right, and there's a segula. It's a good merit to take from those bags. If somebody's looking for a blessing, shidduch or whatever, marriage, whatever, to take from there, it's a good omen, a good blessing. There's a lot of traditions.
Coins and the baby.
5 coins.
And the baby boy. Go on the plant.
Yes, and jewelry. Does it have jewelry there? People throw their jewelry on there as well. By the way, it's not one of the things that afterwards everyone just grabs jewelry. No, you take back your own jewelry. Yes. But I want to read. I have here a siddur. This is a prayer book, page 460. Don't worry, we're not doing a service now. It's not a bait and switch here. But I do want to read. It's like, hold on, just answer amen. No, that's not this. But although, all right. But on a serious note, I want to read. It's the funniest thing. It's like a little bit of it's like Broadway. It's like a little Broadway. It's a little play. And there's lines. And there's like, okay, Father says this. Kohen says that. Father says this. So let me just walk you through it. I'll play both parts.
A script.
Script. I knew there's a word for it. Like a thing with words on it. So the father says, the father's lines are, my Israelite wife has borne me this firstborn son. Then the Kohen responds, which would you rather have? I'm not making this up. It's literally here. It's in Aramaic on the Hebrew side, Aramaic on the Hebrew letter side, but in English, this is the translation. Which would you rather have? Your firstborn son, or the 5 salayim coins, which you are obligated to give me for the redemption of this your firstborn son? The father responds, I want this, my firstborn son, and here you have 5 salayim coins, which is required of me for the redemption. And scene, as they do in improv. So now, and then you say a bracha. And the bracha is, Baruch Hashem, Asher Kedeshana b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al pidyon haben. You say it's a biblical mitzvah. You say the full-on blessing. And then you say Shechianu for this occasion. It's relatively rare. I don't know the number. It'll be interesting. Maybe you can ask. What? No, really, if you don't mind. One out of every Jewish kids born have a pidyon haben. Because right off the bat, it's 50-50. Well, I don't know, whatever it is, boy, girl. But then you have all these other criteria. I would imagine it's like probably 1 in, I'm going to say 1 in 15.
Our grandson had a pidyon.
Your grandson had a pidyon haben?
My brother.
Someone had a pidyon.
Oh, you had a pidyon haben for your kid. Yeah. So yeah, all these things. Now let's actually take a look.
Ari, I just want to add why we do that. Why do we have a pidyon
We're about
haben?
to do that right now.
Okay.
Text 8A. Text 8A on page 48. All right. So now let's take a look at this. Okay. Ellen. Yeah. Take it away. Text 8A.
Pharaoh stubbornly refused to send us out. God slew every firstborn in the land of Egypt. Therefore, I bring and sacrifice all male, cattle and sheep, that open the womb, and all firstborn of my son I will redeem.
Thank you. So Exodus 13 explains that the reason why we redeem firstborn sons is directly related to plague number 10, the death of the Egyptian firstborn. That night of the 10th plague, as God was smiting and smoting all the Egyptian firstborn and passed over the Jewish homes, whose lives specifically were spared? The firstborn Jewish kids. And so therefore, as an acknowledgement of thanks for all time, Jewish firstborns have to be redeemed, as it were. So firstborn cattle and sheep, they're actually offered, as it were, as an offering. But the firstborn kids are redeemed, and in that way, there's kind of, it expresses the element of holiness. They should really, dedicate their lives, totally to God and, to the service, to priestly service, whatever it is, or to the higher service, but they can live a normal life, but you do that redemption, and that kind of takes that place. Text 8b, if you don't mind, please continue, Alan. Text 8b is also fascinating.
Why did the Torah command us to redeem the firstborn sons and not the firstborn daughters? After all, God also smote the Egyptian firstborn daughters.
Next page, please.
Oh. Smote means
Killed.
The Jewish sons require redemption because they too deserve the punishment. As the Midrash recounts, the archangel of Egypt argued before God that the Egyptians are idolaters, worthy of punishment, so are the Jews. Thus, the male Israelite firstborn Egyptian worthy of being smitten, because God kindly spared them. They need to be redeemed. Not so with the females. Talmud. So Todd, let me stay. The Jews were redeemed from Egypt in the merit of the righteous women of that generation. They were never deserving of punishment, and therefore they required no redemption.
Thank you. So what is a very important text? The Rokeach says the following, that the Jewish males, including the firstborn, they could have gone either way. The fact that God spared them was a blessing, a miracle, whatever it is. So they owe God, hence the redemption of the firstborn. But the women, the females, and including the girls, the young girls, they were never steeped in idolatry, never in danger whatsoever, for their behavior, and thus they do not require redemption. This again expresses the idea that the women have a kind of this deeper connection and higher status within Judaism and Jewish law, not requiring any other act, as we said before, of circumcision, and also in this case not requiring a pidyon haben, the redemption of the firstborn. Now let's continue. Yes.
1 in 13.
1 in
13.
13.
1 in about 7-8%.
Huh.
Slightly higher in Orthodox, observant Orthodox.
Interesting. Okay. 1 in every 13. All right. What did I say?
1 in 15.
Look at me. I'm basically writing the code. I'm like right there. I'm like coding.
You are ChatGPT.
I am ChatGPT. No, okay. Now, that would be actually weird if all this time that would be like the longest ruse ever. Okay, but I digress. So let's get into bar bat mitzvah, the next stage of life cycle, bar bat mitzvah. I feel like I want to clarify this right off the bat. People say like, I did have a bar mitzvah, I didn't have a bar mitzvah, I had a bar mitzvah, I didn't have a bar mitzvah. We got to clarify this. The having a bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah is a bit of a misnomer. If you are male and you turn 13, you were and are a bar mitzvah. If you are a female and turn 12, mazel tov, l'chaim, you were and are a bat mitzvah. But it's not about the party. I always say, take the bar out of the bar mitzvah. I don't say that, but it just came to mind. Anyway, whatever. But the point is, it's not about the celebration, not about the party. It's not even about reading from the Torah. Bar mitzvah. Oh, and it's also not that at bar mitzvah, the child becomes an adult. That is also kind of a bit of a misnomer. It's like said child needed to step on a telephone booth to see over the bima to read from the Torah, and now they're an adult. Who are we kidding here? Who are we kidding here? It's not so much that this young person is now an adult, but it's more accurately, bar bat mitzvah is a stage of development, of maturity, where the individual, this child, is now held responsible to follow through with their commitments, including their Jewish commitments. I sent a few kids away to overnight camp. I gave them some money, some cash. They're going to camp in Montreal. They want a thing of water bottles, right? Like these water bottles. So like if you send $5 cash, you can buy a I don't know how many, a pack of water bottles, and then some money for canteen. Like if they don't like lunch, they get some canteen. Or if they go to whatever the Six Flags equivalent over there, or a water park, they can buy like some Lay's potato chips. Great. So I give them some money. We also sent them with clothes. And one of my kids one year came back and I'm taking the luggage and I'm like, wow, this is really light. And I opened up the bag. There's like one sock inside. Like, where are the clothes? He's like, no, it's like they did laundry. Like my clothes didn't come back. We have a policy. We just don't send we send clothes, but we don't try not to send anything that we wouldn't mind it not coming back. There was a lot of double negatives there. Everything that goes, if it doesn't come back, we're okay, except for the child, obviously. Let me just, if any ambitious Kohanim are out there, like, oh, great. No, take it easy. So, good. No, the kids need to come back, but everything else, whatever. So what's my point? Okay, because a young kid, whatever, they're not But at the age of approximately, you got to make a call somewhere. And there's also biblical verses that speak to this. For a boy, age of 13, for a girl earlier, right? That's been the theme here tonight. Sorry, guys. I say it to myself. Right? Girls mature a little bit earlier. So 12, 13, girl, boy, 13, 12, boy, girl. So that's the age in which approximately you can, hold the child a little bit accountable. It's like, I told you this or that or the other. You got to follow through. Now, is anyone going to get everything right? No, unless you're talking about like ChatGPT. I'm kidding. Unless you're talking about like a robot. Even robots go rogue. Wasn't that the whole thing of RoboCop? Was RoboCop good or not good? It's been way too long. Terminator, was that good or not? I don't even know anymore. I'll be back. But anyway, the point is that no one's perfect. I know that was horrible. No one's perfect. And so, yes, we don't expect that at 13, you got to do everything right. And if not, you call yourself bar mitzvah, slow down. Not even someone who's, whatever, much older is going to get everything right. But it means that it begins. Now it begins. The training wheels come off, and now you're getting into the big leagues, i.e., now what you do matters, and you're help. You're expected to be more responsible than you were when you were a younger kid.
And you also count to male towards a million.
Absolutely. Now, what also is interesting is the following. Just to bring out the example that you're not fully like an adult. So let's say, God forbid, let's say a child's parents pass away, and now they're an orphan. And so, like, what happens to the assets of the parents? So, I mean, well, you're not going to say like, here's the deed to your house to a 7-year-old. Like, so courts will, and in Jewish law, it's the same thing. There's a like a guardian, right? Right, some sort of guardian that manages the assets, and then in Jewish law, it's turned over to the child at the age of 20. So 20, if you want to talk about like when Judaism considers one to be like an adult to the point of like managing assets, it's 20. I'm not saying that you can't, day trade Bitcoin at 18. You can do whatever you want, right? Judaism is not going to have a problem with that. Go knock yourself out. Just make sure you're not losing your money. But like legally, the age of like mature business decisions is more around the age of 20 than 13. Not handing over assets of an estate to a 13 or a 12-year-old. That is not. So it's not about adulthood as much as it is about responsibility.
But they do become responsible for their own tuition.
At 12, 13.
Yes.
And rent. Absolutely. Meals. Oh, what are you making tonight for supper? I don't know. You want to know what I'm making? How's it right? So still kids, and they're still children. There's still a lot to learn, but we hold them now, a little bit more responsible for their decisions. Now let's talk about marriage, which is the next step. Oh, and so just kind of to keep the theme going. So at bar mitzvah, that's another stage in which now there's more integration. Now, hopefully, this soul, which is the more responsible part of the body soul, dynamic duo and odd couple. Hopefully, the soul is going to have a little bit more influence in that integration with the body that sometimes can be a little immature or impulsive. Now, let's talk about marriage. We started with a little bit about marriage, about the marriage of the wedding feast and whatever, and fusing together opposites. But marriage is the next stage, and I want to debunk a bit of a misconception. Does Judaism have arranged marriages? Right? Is a shidduch an arranged marriage? The answer is no. It's not an arranged marriage. A shidduch means that there was a shotgun. You ever hear of a shotgun wedding? Totally different. A shotgun. What's a shotgun? A shotgun is, Zevi, it's good to see you, man. It's good to have you back. It's to see. Look, a shadchan is a matchmaker. What is a matchmaker? It's not saying you have to slow down. Matchmaker is somebody almost like a mutual friend, although they don't have to be a friend, but someone who, I know a guy, I know a girl. Why don't you guys go out? In Jewish law, if you don't have consent, there's no marriage to gesund. You can't just say you're going to marry the other one and that's it. That's not even a legal marriage. You might have had a chuppah. You might have broken a glass. It's not a binding marriage unless there's consent. How do we know this? Just take a look at the text. Elise, please read text 9a.
A man may not betroth the woman whom he has not seen, and of whom he has not approved.
So a guy cannot be forced to marry a woman that he hasn't seen or hasn't approved of. And on the other side, the same thing is true. Text 9b, please.
And they said, let us summon the maiden and ask her.
This is with Rebecca. When they suggested that Isaac marry Rebecca, they didn't make the family to make any decisions until they asked her. And from here we learn, says Rashi 9c.
We learn from this verse that a woman may only be married with her consent.
There you have it. So a man can only marry with consent, and a woman can only marry with consent. That is the law. So there's no such thing legally. I mean, I don't know what anyone's going to do on their own, rogue, but legally in halacha, there's no such thing as an arranged marriage. If you hear that word, either it's just a mistake, or it just means that like the parents knew each other from when the kids were born. They're like, oh, your daughter should marry my son. It would be amazing. And so they arranged it in advance, but it's not actually a forced or compelled marriage. Again, if that were to happen, that would not even legally be binding. They would not, according to Jewish law, they would not be married. If there was no consent, then there's no marriage. Just as an aside, because I spoke about a shotgun wedding, I feel like it's an appropriate place to mention that I once officiated a wedding. This is not at all part of the class or curriculum, but it is now. I officiated a wedding a number of years ago in Las Vegas, Nevada, at a hotel casino.
You weren't dressed as Elvis, were you?
I was very strongly considering that. You have no idea how much I wanted to go dress up as Elvis. Yes, I was so there. This is insane. This wasn't on the strip itself. It was off the strip. But in the basement of this hotel casino, there was a racetrack. Like a full-size race with racehorses. Yeah. Wow, all night, I'm just like putting money on the horse. I'm kidding. There's a great joke about a Jewish race. I don't remember the joke, but there's a fantastic joke on that. But anyway, I digress. Although I did say, as I was speaking to conclude the ceremony, I said, and now the groom will break the glass. So I called the groom by name. I said, now break the glass. Just don't step on my blue suede shoes. I literally ended the chuppah ceremony with that terrible line. Much to the consternation or amusement, I don't know, depending on who of the assembled. That was an actual real line that I said. Okay, if you know me, you're like, yeah, it makes sense to say that. Okay, because it's an Elvis song, right? Don't step on my blue suede shoes. Making sure we're all on the same page.
Do anything which they offer up.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, now there's a lot of circles with weddings. Okay, we're gonna close that in a second. There's a lot of circles with weddings, and that represents the key to a good, healthy marriage. And that is recognizing that there's something above both the husband and the wife, the bride and the groom, the guy and the girl. There's something above both of them. So there's different ways to understand this. One way is to say, look, if you go into marriage, then you have to be ready to transcend yourself and put the other one first. But on a deeper level, it's not even about transcending yourself and putting the other one first. It's really about transcending both of y'all and putting God first. Because even in the first scenario, there's still an ego. Oh, why should I put her first? I should go first. Okay. But if it's now both, it's not about either of us. It's about like, what does God want from us? Well, that's a higher level. And so circles represent transcendence. Why? Because a circle, there's no top or bottom. There's no beginning or end. There's no higher or lower when it comes to circle, which represents transcendent energy. So there's many circles at a Jewish wedding ceremony. The bride will encircle the groom 7 times. The groom will then give a circular ring to the bride. And maybe there's some other stuff, but anyway, there's a circle theme. Another cool feature, parallel Jewish wedding tradition parallels Mount Sinai experience, page 58. Take a look. And by the way, you can take this and read the readings that we skipped. They're all wonderful, but I do want to do this together. This little figure, this little box infographic on page 58. Some parallels between Jewish weddings and the experience at Sinai. Some are more direct, some are more interesting, but all will be interesting. All will be educational, I guess. So at a Jewish wedding tradition, first one is matches are arranged by a shadchan, by a matchmaker. At Mount Sinai, the parallel is Moses was the intermediary between God and Israel. Okay, that kind of works. Next, the wedding is traditionally held in the bride's hometown. Well, the Torah was given here on earth on our turf. Okay, cool. Escorts of the bride and groom hold candles. Lightning was seen at the giving of the Torah. Great. The groom breaks the glass, breaks a glass beneath the wedding canopy, and Moses broke the tablets. Okay. All right. That was a little okay. Then we have the bride and groom. I feel like it's a late night bit, but it's not. I mean, this is like coming from sources. The bride and groom are entertained with somersaults, and that which was up came down, and that which was down went up. Right? God came down, and Moses went up the mountain. Torah came down, and we elevated. All right. Marriage is effected through a ring. God betrothed us with the Torah, which is akin to a ring. All right. Now, I want to conclude with one final point. Oh, actually, two final points. One about children, which is a very interesting law or thing, halacha. Yeah, I guess law. Page 60, 15a at the top. I'm going to do this very quickly. So, according to halacha, the Jewish law, a man has a mitzvah to procreate, but a woman does not have the mitzvah. And I know what you're thinking. Good luck doing it on your own. I don't have a mitzvah. You do. Good luck. Obviously, I mean, science is not there yet, but obviously you would need the woman to procreate. But the point is that he has the mitzvah, she does not. And if you're thinking like that makes no sense, what does that even mean? There's two interesting explanations given. One is in text 15b. We're not going to read this, but I'll paraphrase. Basically, it says that you cannot obligate someone to do a mitzvah if it's dangerous. And for the woman, at least certainly back for many, many years, I mean, modern times a little bit less dangerous, but childbirth, labor, delivery, et cetera, all of that, or the whole journey is fraught with medical risk and danger. And so you cannot obligate someone to do something that is potentially dangerous. And so she's not obligated, but he is obligated. But again, it takes two to tango. That is a very good way to say it. So that's one interesting point. And the second point is, some say that women don't need a mitzvah to have children because they more naturally want to. Whereas men, it's like men naturally, it's like you wouldn't need to give a man a mitzvah to watch football. They're already there. It's like, football, oh, great. You have to watch football on Sundays. No, I don't need that mitzvah. We're good to go. I already want to. But for kids, you might have to give a man the mitzvah. The woman might not need the mitzvah. These are a few different things. Just an interesting thing about having children. Now, the final piece of this, we're not going to read the text inside. It's about death and bereavement, which is, of course, the final stage of life is death, is passing. And just one point that I want to make from all of these texts, and again, you can read this later. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. But I do want to make one point, and that is that Judaism looks at the body as maintaining and remaining in a state of sanctity and sacredness even after the soul departs from the body. That's really important. Today we talked about life being the journey of the integration of soul and body. Well, what happens when they uncouple, as it were, and the body goes down to the earth and the soul goes back up to heaven? What's the status of the body? Do we say that it's lost its holiness, that it's, once it's deintegrated, that's not a word, I'm sure, once it's no longer integrated, so it's just a vessel that's, the answer is no, it maintains a dignified and sacred status, and it's likened to a Torah scroll. Imagine, here's an ark, imagine a Torah scroll that has become unfit for use, which means, I don't know, it's old, the letters faded or cracked, it's no longer kosher. So what do? You're like, okay, well, we got a dumpster back there. God forbid, chuck a Torah just because you can't use it anymore. It remains holy, even if it's, even if it's not in the same, usability as before. Same thing is true with the human being. Even after the soul departs, the body remains sacred. That's why in Jewish practice, there's what's called the Chevra Kadisha. You know what a Chevra Kadisha is? A Jewish burial society that takes care of the body after a person passes away to make sure that it's respected, and the proper dignity is maintained, and it's prepared in the right way for the final journey, laying our loved ones to rest. And if those that are on the Chevra Kadisha, you have to handle the deceased with the body with the ultimate dignity and love. You're not to speak idle matters in front of the deceased. You can't turn the body over, face down. Treating the body with ultimate respect reflects the dignity that Judaism accords to the body even after the passing. So, in conclusion, today we looked at the Jewish life cycles, what they are, maybe sometimes what they're not, and a lot of details, hopefully in the middle, that were intriguing and interesting. But again, just to kind of circle back to how we started, it's all about recognizing that this life that we have is precious and sacred. And at the end of the day, like that wedding feast, limited time only. No one knows when our time is up, but the fact that we have a certain time is inevitable. It's truth of life. Everyone who's been born has at some point passed away. And so Judaism encourages us to maximize the time that we have, to make sure that every day is infused with the proper amount of energy and vitality and productivity, to make sure that this day become a meaningful day. Hayom Yom. Today needs to be a day, and not just, a marking on the calendar to check off that it already passed. We don't kill time. We don't kill a day. We don't waste a day. I mean, we might, but we shouldn't. We shouldn't. We should treat each day with the dignity that it deserves, and utilizing the fusion of our own body and soul working in harmony, we can fuse together the larger body and soul on a cosmic level, bringing heaven down to earth and making this world a better place. And that is the ultimate form of Tikkun Olam, fixing the world. Thank you for joining me tonight for lesson number 2 of Fascinating Facts. You guys were great. It was a great discussion. You guys are awesome. A quick note about next week's class. Next week's class is entitled Under the Influence, Angels, Blessings, and Evil Eyes. So, come back next week with your red strings intact, and we'll talk about all things mystical. That's happening next week. All right. Questions, comments?
What's the garlic for?
The garlic was to ward off the evil eye.
Oh my goodness. I didn't
Because
know.
who wants to be around a baby that smells like garlic? Are you kidding me? Call this a baby? All right, I smell garlic bread. Now, one of the, which not a bad thing, actually, but not for a baby. I do want, for those that are interested, I don't know that you have to feel compelled to be interested. I say that to everybody here. But I also do know, a second here, that I did mention that, oh, I see what's going on here. Okay. I'm using the wrong app. Okay. Oh, here it is. Oh, they're already up from earlier today. Oh my gosh. I don't have a projector. So how are we going to do this? First of all, who is this guy? Who's that young man? That would be me back in the day. Just thought I'd mention that. Huh?
Education event, right?
Huh?
Education event, right?
Yeah, I was 19. Kidding. And then I was actually 25. My grandfather. Is he Zeddy? My grandfather. He was there, the Kohen. And my mom. Hey mom, this is you.
Wow.
Look at that. That was
Amazing.
you. That still is you. And Celia, okay, my niece. Okay, but let's go to the baby on the platter. Oh, there's a baby on a platter. There's an actual baby on an actual platter. Okay, let's rotate. And there's a baby on a platter. I don't know how good your y'all's eyesight is, but that's a baby on a platter. Baby on a
Wow.
you see that?
On a silver platter.
Baby on a silver platter with jewelry. There's
With
jewelry
jewelry.
there. You see in the bottom? There's my wife's necklace, maybe some rings. I don't know what's going on over there. And there's little bags of
Garbage.
There's I literally see the garlic cloves and the sugar cubes. Can you guys see the garlic cloves and sugar cubes?
Yeah.
You can see it.
Yeah.
Darker is the
I
garlic.
didn't know about the garlic.
Right. Sweet and sour. Sweet and sour. What's it called again?
Hungarian meatballs.
I don't know about that, but here we go. Here, I'm not gonna go. But here we go. This is it's a cute. Here's my kid. Has no idea what's going on. Why would he know what's going on? There's nothing. Yeah, there's nothing and like whatever. But now he doesn't have any recollection of this. That's it.
All right, Emily.
I guess it's fine. Anyway, the point of all this is we have beautiful traditions. And it's weird, sometimes a Jew will be like, what's the deal with Thanksgiving? We eat a turkey? What a ridiculous custom. As I swing my chicken around my head, and put garlic cloves and sugar cubes inside a bag with my firstborn child, 30 days old, on a silver platter with some jewelry. What could possibly go wrong? My friends, thank you for tuning in. There's so much Seinfeld potential right here, but it's not Seinfeld. It's just Judaism, straight up. It's just a Tuesday night. Sorry,
We're gonna put you over on the punchline.
Wednesday night with all right, good stuff. Good to see everyone. We'll see you next week, if not sooner. Okay, I'll close
Ari,
out. Yes,
I have a story. I don't know if it's a good one or not so good, but when Uncle Jakey, when they had their firstborn baby, a girl, and they went.
I can print it out. You want to hang out? Hang out for a minute. I'm going to print it out.
There's some movie coming out on Friday called Guns and Moses.
Yes.
Rabbi Mo.
Guns and Moses. Where is it coming out?
Rabbi Mo, I'm not sure which theater, but somewhere in the.
Okay. All right. Let me mention that. Tom just reminded me. There's a guy that I know. His name is Sal Litvak. Talk about a Jewish name. Saul Litvak. He lives in California. He's a screenwriter, amongst other things. He's got a great social media, sorry about that, channel. And he just wrote a movie, put together a movie, produced a movie called Guns and Moses. You heard that right. Not Guns and Roses, but Guns and Moses. Solid facts. Yes. I sometimes, my bad Jewish jokes. What are the Guns and Moses? So it's coming out Friday near a theater near you. I told him in California to maybe get a pre-screening showing, but I don't know, never worked out. So, but this is great. Guns and Moses. We should do a watch party. Who wants to join me? Let's do it. It's about a Chabad rabbi, not a real Chabad rabbi, but the concept is a rabbi and there's like terrorism and he has to like learn how to shoot a gun. But then there's like it's like a drama thriller, but it's like Chabad sort of. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. All right. Good. Mom, I think hold it. You just tell me later because I got to.
All right.
All right. We'll see you later.
You can tell it at a different occasion.
Okay. We'll see you. Good night, Lila.